This video I'm going to try something really different. This is going to be a two-part film, a video, two-part project, two videos for it. This is a circus wagon, and it has with it some other animals and a clown that I'm going to make in the second video. This video would make just this wagon and the horses that pull it, and this is totally off from what I've ever done before. I've never tried anything quite like this because I'm not much of a painter, and this requires some painting, and you can see the details on the horses. All the rest of the animals have the same thing, and these details in here, instead of just painting it, there's a little bit more design. Now the book that this came out of was an old book. It's a little more primitive patterns and projects than stuff I normally do, but they're very interesting and I kind of like them. I've done several of them. This one that I did a few weeks ago was out of this book, but they didn't have any hints on how to paint this, except there was a tiny little color photograph on the front page of the book that I could look at and kind of get an idea of what they did. Theirs is much more professional than mine. I think somebody did a really nice job on it, but I tried to copy it the best I could. So if you stay tuned, we'll look at the patterns. We don't have to talk much about the material because this is all poplar. Since it's painted, I didn't worry about any exotic woods, and they may not all be poplar, but mostly it is. So we'll look at that and we'll cut it out, and I'll show you how I put it together. I had a few problems and things to overcome going through, but I finally succeeded. And so we'll look at all that. So stay tuned and we'll look at the patterns. Okay, I've got quite a few parts to this little project. This is just the wagon itself and the horses that pull it and all that goes along to getting that together. But there's multiple parts. You got the floor of the wagon. Now, I don't have the dowels yet. It takes 3/16 dowels for the bars, but I got to drill all this to get them ready for that anyway. So you got the wheels, the two horses, a seat. There's the seat for the top of the wagon. It's supposed to be 1 inch. I got 2 half-inch pieces of poplar. Most of this is poplar because I'm going to paint it. You got the bottom. This goes on each end of the body for the bars to go in, and then you got 4 of these, 2 for the top and 2 for the bottom. The bottom one will have the holes for the axles. Now, I've got a lot of drilling yet to do. I've got some of it done. You got the wheels, and I've drilled all the holes for the wheels. I'm going to cut those out on the scroll saw. I was going to do it with a hole saw, but I don't have one large enough. That's a 2-inch wheel, but we're not after the diameter of the hole. We're after the diameter of the waist, and I need like a 2 1/4 hole saw, and the largest I got is 2 1/8. It's not quite large enough. That's not the largest, but that's the closest I have. I need like a 2 1/4. So instead of buying one, I'm just going to cut that out with a scroll saw. I've got this double stacked so I can cut 2 sets of legs for the horse. Got this double stacked so I can cut 2 bodies. And here's the little tongue of the wagon, and that's a 1/2-inch piece, cut 3/8 inch top to bottom. And I got to drill holes for the horse's mount on that, and it swivels inside on this end, swivels inside the this part of the floor. And then I got to drill all these holes, and I got to set the depth. They go down 3/8 inch deep on some of the stuff, but I got to get those drilled and cut that out. That will be done. That's just the floor. It's poplar. I think all of this is poplar except for a few exceptions. Poplar or some sort of leftover scraps from something else. So there's several parts here, and this is just, like I say, the wagon and the horses. I'm going to do another video where I cut, there's a clown. I think he's supposed to be sitting up on that seat driving the thing. It sits up there like that, and I think that's where he sits. And then you got a lion and a elephant, and I forget everything there is there. Another horse, and a pig. I don't know. There's several animals. maybe a giraffe too. I'm not sure right now. I have to look back at the patterns. But I'm going to do that in a separate video. This is going to be quite involved to get this part of it done. Those will be much simpler because a lot of them are just two pieces and they're quick, or one or two pieces. But the painting is what's going to take some time. I'm going to paint this. Poplar's not a pretty wood, and this is kind of a circus thing, so it needs to be kind of flamboyant with some colors. I think yellows and oranges and blues and reds. So let me get started cutting on this. And like I say, it's going to take longer to paint it than anything. And I still got some holes to drill. I'll drill those first probably. Except for these. These are stacked. I'm cutting two at a time. Then I've got to go in and get the, there's another piece that has the holes. Another piece of the pattern that it lines the holes up for you, and then I'll take each one and mark those holes and drill them. I'll cut them out first. Those will not be drilled until after I cut them out. I can go ahead and drill those, but the other part not. And you see, like I've got these set, all I have to do to these is just drill the holes in them. So it's not real complex cuts. Some of it's kind of thick, like this is 1 inch. And this will be one inch because it's meant to stack two pieces. Anyway, this is layered up to get the width you're supposed to have for the wheel. It said 5/8, so I layered up. So I've got three pieces that fit the 5/8 and glued them together. So they'll be a composite, but they're going to be painted, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'll get these holes drilled before I start cutting, and we'll get these cut out and see what we can paint before we put it together, and then get it all painted and lined out. These two pieces cut out. I stack cut them, so I got them both cut the same and at the same time. Then I've taken and mounted these on them to get the right orientation for the little dowels that make the bars. And what I'm going to do is I've got a 3/16 drill bit set for a depth of 3/8. I've got a piece of tape on it, so I know when I get to 3/8. And then I'm going to use this to set it in to hold it, the piece that I cut it out of, so it'll hold it level as I'm cutting it, drilling it. So I'll make sure I drill them straight up and down. Anyway, so I'm going to take that to the drill press and do that. These two pieces will be done. I'll do the same thing on this one, except I don't have to have the holes here for the wheels and the axles. I got those horses glued together, and they're outside with the first coat of paint on them. I'm going to paint them white, and then I'm going to come back and paint the details, hooves, and plume on the head, and where show might have a harness on it. I've started dry fitting these things. I got a little homemade miter box over there that I made a stop on it so I could cut these all the same length. And I had to go back and re-drill some of these. They weren't deep enough. I was having trouble getting these sides to line up and be straight, but I got them now, and they're going to fit. Looks like it's going to work just fine. I may have to do a little adjustment on height on the internal ones. I got a couple of blocks put in here. They're going to be axle supports, and I'm pretty close to having this put together, except I'm going to paint some of it before I actually glue it together. So mainly I'm going to cut these and drill a couple of holes for the axles, but beyond that it's mainly painting, and then I'll try to glue it together. There'll be a lot of little detail work on the paint, but there's been some problems that I had to solve. As all projects, you have to solve some problems as you go. So far I'm successful in solving them, and I think once I get it painted and put together, it's going to look okay. When I'm doing a project like this, I get really involved in the project. It's got a lot of bits and pieces and things to do. So I get involved and I forget that I'm supposed to be filming it. So I need to stop here and catch up on what I've done. I dry fit everything. I had to drill some of these holes a little deeper because they weren't quite deep enough, wasn't lining up right, but I went back and cleaned those up. Now I've started painting. I'm not an artist. I'm not big on painting stuff, but this is a project that calls to be painted, and I think it makes it look much better. So, like I say, I'm not an artist. I have trouble drawing a straight line with a ruler. But anyway, they have examples of what they've kind of want it to look like. And the front of this book has a tiny little color picture of this, the way they painted it, the way that they did it. I'm doing that to some extent. I'm not getting as detailed as they were. It looked like a very professional job on their part, and I'm far from a professional when it comes to finishing with paint. But anyway, this is where I am. I've got those done. They still need to be touched up. Need another coat on some of it. Same thing here. I've got one side of the horses done. I still got to do the other side, and I'm just kind of following their little diagram there. Kind of learning how to do this as I go. I got all these bars painted. I got the wheels partially done. I haven't. I got to do a little detail on those. But anyway, that's where I am. Another hour or two of painting and detail work. I might be ready to start gluing it together. Like I say, I dry fit it all, made sure it all worked okay, and so basically all I got to do is use more paint. I got to touch this up. I got places. What I did with this, I used my gauge to draw, cut a 1/4 inch line across the top of it, and then I set me up a compass with a pencil, and I had the pencil up high where I could follow the outside of this with the little point of the compass, and then make the pencil draw about a 1/4 inch inside there. That's kind of what they did. They used an orange, and this is supposed to be orange, but it's coming out more pink. Not really sure. It might get a little more orange as it dries some more. I don't know, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be enough contrast so I can tell what it is. And it's supposed to be, in these top ones, it's supposed to be a little circle there. And they have a star in the middle of it. I may try to do that, I may not. But I've taken this a step at a time. So I got everything pretty well painted. It's like the yellow's having trouble covering everything, so I'm having to make several small light coats on it. And I still got to touch this one up inside. But other than that, that's all I like, is a little touch up on the paint. I'll start gluing it together, and I'll try to remember to film that. And I'll try to do better on the second part of this video, where I make all the animals, the clown, and the several animals that go with it. So the biggest detail I got left is the wheels. I haven't really decided how I'm going to handle that yet. But next time, next part of the video you see, I should be putting it together. Let me finish up this paint, and I'll try to get all that set up. Well, I believe I'm through with the primary painting. There'll be touching up to do as I go along and as I put it together, and once I get it together I probably will scrape some things or whatever and see things I need to touch up, but I'll take care of that as a finishing up thing. I pretty well got everything. I cheated on the wheels. Their design was, they had this little design that you paint. Well, that was I'm not real good at transferring those designs, so I just made a pattern out of it and cut some 1/16 inch and painted it and glued it on there, lined up the holes, and that's going to be my design for the wheels. It's not quite as elaborate as the picture they had, but I think it's going to look, I kind of laid it out to look at it. I also put these stars on here. I put one of these together. I was debating whether to build this from the ground up, a piece at a time, but I opted to, I'm going to build all the 4 walls like you're framing up a house and put them together. I'm going to have to square it up a little bit. It's not much out of square, but tiny bit. And I'll see what I have to do with that. Start gluing it together, give me something to work against so that I can kind of pull it over. I might have to, and these aren't glued in, I might have to pull them and sand them ever so slightly, or maybe go a 16th or a 32nd larger on the hole if I got the right drill bit. So give me a little play to pull that straight if I need to. I don't think it's going to be off enough to have to do that, but I'm going to have that as an option. So I'm going to build the second one. I got the 2 pieces here, and I got some more bars here. Build the second one, and then we got these and some more bars to go on the end of the floor. And those all glue together, and that's the basic part of the wagon. I do have some axle supports that I haven't drilled yet. I was going to get this other stuff in place so I can drill the holes in that to match, and a 1/4 inch dowel goes through that for the wheels to mount on. So I'll build this second wall side, and then I'll put the end pieces in. I got to drill these holes out again and get to clean the paint out of it. I've already done that on all these. I've cleaned them all up, sanded where they're supposed to be glued. So I'll put this other side together, and then I'll put the ends on, and I'll see if I can get them to line up and glue them. Well, that first side went on, glued up, and lined up just fine. This one I could tell was a little bit off. So what I did, I took it back apart and I sanded the ends of these bars, so it gave me just a little bit of wiggle room, because it would not move at all. So what I've done now is I've glued it at the bottom, and I've got some room now. It'll move a little bit, and the bars will be floating, and that'll be fine. So then I'm going to glue the bottom, and then I'll force it into place and clamp it and glue it and make everything line up. At least that's my plan right now, and we'll see how that works. I think it'll be okay, but it does have some give. I'm able to pull it into place straight. You can see the bars look a little bit off. I don't know if you can tell it on the camera or not, but they're leaning to the right a little bit. But I got some slack in them by sanding them just a little bit. They were very tight, so that gives me enough room to move it over and clamp it in place. We'll let this glue on the bottom set, and then I'll work on the top. Well, I was successful with clamping to make that square, and pretty much square and true, and got it glued together. It looks like they're parallel to the bars on the opposite side, which is what I wanted to have. So the original for this plan, you're supposed to drill a hole all the way through this. Now my drill bit does not want to track through that. So I'm just putting separate axles on each corner. It will roll some. It wasn't really designed to roll because horses don't have wheels or ways to move. This is kind of a display thing more than a toy. So I'm going to get these wheels on and I'm going to mount the horses. And I'll have some paint touch up to do. Some of the bars are a little short on, I'll kind of get the outsides of those and look around. There'll be some stuff I'll probably need to clean up. I was banging it around and working on it. But I'm going to move forward to getting these wheels on and get the horses on. And I got to put the seat on it. And I need to touch up some paint on it. So then in the next video, there's a clown that rides in the seat on this thing, an articulated clown. Actually, arms and legs move. And there's some other animals. There's elephant and lion and I don't know, several other animals I'm going to make in the video to accompany this. So let me just continue on putting these in, and we'll see how it looks when I get done. Well, I'm going to call this video finished. The project's not finished. I'll do another video and I'll post next week, and I'll link this one to it at the end of the video. If you catch this one first, it'll link right to the next one after next week, of course. This had some problems I had to solve as I went along to get these things to line up straight and get a little slack in those bars where I could straighten things up. It's hard to drill perfectly straight in exact same spot that you need to. I get as close as I can. That's the biggest problem with this. I got pretty close, but you don't have to be off much to mess things up. And the painting, I'm not an artist. I can't draw an arrow with a straight. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. So this was kind of the first time for me to try to do something like this. I'm somewhat pleased with it. I know it's not the best it could be. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you look forward to the next video when I can throw the rest of the animals in on it. There'll be even more painting, and not a lot of cutting on those just to cut them out, but painting and get them to look like something is what's going to be the major obstacle on that next one. So if you like that, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I'm a little over 1,000, and I'll take all the subscribers I can get. I'm trying to hit on to the 2,000 now. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.